The Third Testament, Revelations of Jesus Christ. Chapter 8, The New Communities of Christ, Disciples, Apostles, Divine Envoys. Light and shadow in the congregations of the Revelation. Thus saith the Lord, if my word had been given to all nations, the majority would have rejected it, for vanity, materialism, and the false grandeur of men would not have accepted a doctrine that speaks of spirituality, humility, and brotherhood. The world is not yet prepared to understand love, and not all, therefore, would have been sensitive to my presence in this form. Just as Christ, in that time sought a hollow of rock to be born as a man, today I found this corner of the earth that was disposed to hear me, and which bears a similarity to the grotto and manger that received the Son of God on that blessed night. The example of this humble people that choose their way without ministers to guide them, and that worship me without ceremonies or symbols, will be a wake-up call to those who sleep their night of centuries, and it shall be a stimulus for the regeneration and purification of many of my children. Under the shade of my doctrine, no throne will be built from which exalted men can dominate the spirits of their brothers. None will be crowned or covered in purple robes to try to occupy the place of the Lord. Nor shall there arise confessors to judge, pardon, condemn, and pass sentence on the acts of humanity. Only I can judge a spirit from a just and perfect bench. I may send those who correct, teach, and guide, but I shall not send any to judge and punish. I have sent those who have been shepherds to humanity, but neither lords nor fathers. The only Father of the Spirit is I. I will form in this time a people who are jealous of my law, loving of truth and of charity. This people will be like a mirror in which others may see reflected the errors into which they have fallen. They shall not be the judge of any, but their virtues, works, and dutifulness will touch the spirit of all who cross their path, and will show the path to all who do not comply with my law. When this people are strong and numerous, they will attract to themselves the attention of their fellow men, for their cleanliness of their works and the sincerity of their worship must surprise humanity. Then men will ask, who are these, who without temples know to pray in this way? Who has taught these multitudes to pray, adoring their God without feeling the need to raise altars for his worship? From where have these travelers and missionaries come, who like the birds neither sow, nor reap, nor spin, and yet subsist? And I shall say to them, this people, poor and humble, but jealous of my law, and strong against the passions of the world, have not been prepared by any man. These multitudes that enjoy doing good, who are illuminated by inspiration, and know how to carry to the heart the message of peace and the touch of comfort, have not been taught by teachers or ministers of any cult on earth. For it is true what I tell you, that in this time there does not exist one single man in your world who could teach the worship of God with true spirituality. Truth does not reside in the splendor of rites, nor in wealth or earthly power, but being humble, seeks as its temple the clean, noble, and sincere hearts who love that which is pure. Where are these hearts? I have called many of my children to be given different responsibilities, various missions within this work, and I have given them according to your gifts and advancement, and with all of these I have formed my people, my new apostolate. To some I have given the work of guides, and so that their work is not arduous and distressing, I have divided the people into congregations. To others I have given the gift of acting as spokesmen, so that they might transmit my inspiration, made human word, to these multitudes that gather to receive this wonder. I have given the privilege of seeing to some, to make of them prophets and proclaim through them what is to come. And those who have received the mission of being the supporting pillars are those who must help the people in their pilgrimage, and who must be for the guides, as was the Cyrene, Simon of Cyrene, who helped Christ, and helped to carry the cross of their multitudes. Others have been graced with the gift of faculty, and these, as instruments of the spiritual world, have been prepared to transmit its messages, the analysis of my work, and also as possessors of the sacred balm of healing, of comforting the sick, so that united they may pour forth charity to the needy by means of healthy spiritual emanations. I have named Golden Scribe, he who must print my revelations, teachings and prophecies of this time in the book that I shall leave you. I have given the responsibility of being cornerstones to those who are to stand as example of firmness, stability, and strength among the people. In these, their word, comfort, and example will be invariable like rock. Now that this stage of my communication is at its end, I am judging all the charges and all those chosen to receive such great missions. I am calling them to enter into profound study and to know the results of their works. I accompany all in this hour of meditation. As in all times, many have been called, but few chosen. For I choose only those who are timely in the fulfillment of their missions, and to the rest I give light, so that they may know how to wait the time when they too are chosen. How many there are who have only been called without it being time to choose them for a responsibility, and who have taken part among my laborers and disciples without their spirits having had the evolution indispensable to withstand the weight of this cross, nor their understanding the light required to permit the entry of my inspiration. What have many of them done once they were within the ranks of the chosen? They have profaned and poisoned the environment, contaminating others with their evil inclinations, lying, sowing discord, and profiting from my name and the gifts that I have deposited in my disciples. Do not attempt to find out who those individuals are, because you will not succeed. Only I, the divine judge, know who those individuals are, and I tell them through their conscience. Be vigilant and pray so that you will repent for your mistakes before it is too late. If you repent, I promise you that I will sit you spiritually at my table, and there will be a festival of reconciliation and forgiveness. That is the truth. Not all love my work, even while it is amongst them, nor have all arrived at understanding it, for which reason I can tell you that some are of my work, and others do their own. Those who come to me following from love my word, for they know it corrects them without coming to wound them, and points out their defects without shaming them. This makes them persevere in perfecting their practices. Those who, instead of trying to reach that perfection, pursue only adulation, superiority, praise, or a means of living, rather than seeking perfection of the spirit, are not resisting my word when it points out their defects. So they have to create a work distinct from mine, in which they will be free to do their own will. They have not understood that the entire multitude need do in the time that my manifestation lasts, is to hear me with the greatest elevation, so that later they can analyze my message. I have said that the time of confusion, of disobedience will arrive, in which the laborer will raise up, sighing that my communication through human understanding will not cease. But the moment will come when my word is fulfilled, though man tries to interject to my will. How many errors in the way have been committed by many of those in whom I have confided a responsibility and a gift? How much incomprehension I behold being unleashed among my children after the year 1950. With the lack of understanding and foolishness of man, they hold back my charity, authority, and grace, and are therefore outside the true path of the law, of harmony, and of truth. Once again, Israel will not know itself, tribe from tribe. Once again they will tear and wish to trample the clean and pure law I gave into their hands. Once again Israel will seek the ancient paths to fall into idolatry and fanaticism. They will look to the sects and enter into confusion and darkness, and will find satisfaction in the false and florid words given to them by men. The men of the religions and sects, upon seeing that Israel is divided, that Israel does not know itself and is weakened, will seek motives to tear away this priceless jewel, to tear away the ark of this new covenant, and say the next day that they are the true envoys before humanity and the representatives of my divinity. Words of warning to those who hear of the spiritualist work. I wish that when my communication has concluded, you have a well-defined idea of that which is in this doctrine, so that you may duly fulfill it. For up to this moment, the true spiritualists have not arisen among the multitudes that have heard my word. Until now, it has not been spiritualism that you have practiced, but rather a version of my work as you have conceived of it, but which is very far from true spirituality. You will need to arm yourselves with the strength to accept that which has confused you. You must rise to amend your practices, seeking with a will that among you the truth and purity of my doctrine shine forth. Do not fear to change the outward part of your practices and worship without altering the essence of my teachings. Make use of the time that you still have to hear my teaching, so that it may fill you with light and grace, so that you may advance firmly towards spirituality, an advance that you have not made because of having continued within a cult of materialism and error. Until now, you have lacked faith to renounce your forms, your rituals, and your symbols, to seek me spiritually among the infinite. You have lacked the courage to be spiritualists, and have conceived a way of seeming spirituality, hiding behind it your materialism and errors. I do not wish you to be hypocrites, but sincere lovers of the truth. It is therefore that I speak with great clarity, so that you may cleanse your lives and show the world the truth that is in this work. Do you say you are spiritualists? Then be so in truth. Do not speak of my doctrine while you do all that is contrary to it, for with your acts you will only confuse humanity. Above all, know that which is my work, what my law means, what your calling is, and how you must carry it out, so that if you do not have a guide worthy of marking your steps, you may be guided by conscience and by the knowledge of my doctrine that you have acquired. Thus, you cannot blame another for any misstep or error. From the time that my communication by means of human understanding began, I have wished you to put into practice your gifts, and that you begin your spiritual mission, so that when the day of my departure arrives, you will have traveled part of the road and not feel too weak to begin the fulfillment of such a delicate mandate. Some have known how to interpret the divine idea and have made efforts to bring it to fulfillment. But there are also those, and they are the majorities, who have misunderstood the meaning of this work. These are the errors that I come to bring to the attention of this people, for I do not wish those who have been so long instructed to be mocked by humanity. Some are only interested in the essence of my word and yearn for the progress and evolution of the spirit, while others are pleased by my outward worship, so that while the former enjoyed receiving teachings about spirituality, others were displeased that their errors were mentioned. Only I know who will respond to me for all that which should have been known through my spokesman, but has been withheld. Meditate and understand that the unification that you need is spiritual, and that you will attain it when you rise above your passions and fanaticism. How can you create peace when each goes forth proclaiming his own teachings as the only truth while combating that of all others as false? Fanaticism is darkness, blindness, and ignorance, and its fruits can never be those of the light. Truly, I tell you that if you do not unite, as is my will, humanity will disperse you and will thrust you from their breast if it is seen that your lives are distant from that which you preach. What will happen if men discover that in each place there exists a different form of worship and a different way of practicing my doctrine? I entrust to you the 3 last years of my communication, so that you may work for the union of this people, a unification that includes that which is spiritual as well as the outward, so that your labor, full of harmony and equality, may be the greatest proof that all of you, in various places and different lands, have been taught by one single master, God. The true apostolate, the new apostles. Do not attempt to put limits on this work, which is universal and infinite, nor must you put limits on your own spiritual development, for the farther you go on the road of good works and study, the greater the revelations you will receive. You will see the divine work arise from that which is simplest, you will see it manifest in all that has been created, and you will feel it throb within your being. This is the simplicity with which I come to teach the disciple of spiritualism, so that he too may be simple, like his master. Let the disciple persuade and convert by the truth of his words and the power of his works, without seeking to surprise anyone with mysterious powers or extraordinary faculties. The true disciple will be great because of his simplicity. He will understand his master, and at the same time make himself understood by his brothers. The disciple of Jesus is he who subjugates with the persuading and consoling word, who raises up and resuscitates, making of the defeated victors over themselves and over adversity. The apostle of Christ cannot shelter selfishness in his heart, thinking only of his own suffering and worries, but neglects his own to concern himself with his brothers, with absolute confidence that nothing is neglected. For the Father immediately helps those who have abandoned their own worries to assist a child of the Lord that needs spiritual sustenance. And he who has known how to forget himself to bring a smile of hope, comfort to their sadness, or a drop of balsam for their pain, upon returning home, shall find himself illuminated by the light that is benediction, joy, and peace. Many times have I said that you and those are the same ones. Come to taste the wine again and eat of the bread at my table. Eat of the Lamb. He is the origin of life. Come, you who hunger, thirst, and are unclean. Be strengthened and eat your fill, for then I will say to you, pick up your cross and follow me. At my table of this period, an apostle will be the man as well as the woman. I will siege your spirit at this table. It has been the women who, during this period, have raised the spiritual banner before the multitudes. They have been leaving along the pathway the imprints of the apostle zealous of the Father's law. In my new apostleship, the woman shall be alongside man, and there will be no age barrier in order to serve me. The same will it be for the adult, as well as the child or the elder. The same for the maiden, as well as the mother. Because again I say to you, that it is your spirit whom I seek, and that he has left his infancy a long time ago. If I told you in the second era that my kingdom is not of this world, now I tell you that neither is yours. For this dwelling place, as you well know, is a temporary one for mankind. I come to show you the true life, that which has never been based in materialism. For that reason, men will once again rise up against my eternal doctrine, with my same teaching as always, which is love, wisdom, and justice, though that will not be immediately understood. humanity will once again judge me, and once again put me upon the cross. Yet I know that my teaching must pass through this to be recognized and loved. I know that my tenacious persecutors will later be my faithful and unselfish sowers, for I will give them very great proofs of my truth. That Nicodemus of the second era, a prince among the priests, who sought out Jesus to converse with him about wise and profound teachings, shall arise again in this time to serenely analyze my work and convert himself to it. That Saul, called Paul, who after persecuting me furiously became one of my great apostles, shall appear again in my road. And from everywhere shall come forth my new disciples, some fervent, others self-effacing. The present hour is of great importance. The time of which I am speaking comes upon you. The multitudes need those who know how to be strong during ordeals, those who are accustomed to the great battles of the world and of the spirit. They are the ones who will be able to guide and lead humanity, for in their hearts there will be no desire to control or dominate anyone. There will be no selfishness in their hearts, for when they elevate themselves to communicate with the Lord, they will feel His charity and love, so that they might offer that same charity to their brothers. The envoys of God in all the world and in all times. The peoples of the earth have never been short of spiritual light. Truly, I tell you, it is not only this people that have had prophets and envoys, for I have sent emissaries to all peoples to awaken them. You may judge their words by the light and truth of their doctrines, as well as by their similarity to what I have revealed to you. Some arrived before the coming of the Messiah, and others after my presence as a man, but all have carried a spiritual message to men. Those doctrines, like mine, have suffered profanations, for when their essence has not been altered, they have been mutilated or hidden from a mankind hungry for truth. One single truth and one single morality is what have been revealed to men through the envoys, prophets, and servants. Why do the different peoples have different concepts of truth, morality, and life? That truth, adulterated through time by humanity, will be re-established, and its light will shine with such strength that it will seem to mankind like something new, though it is the same light that has always illuminated the way of evolution for the children of my divinity. Many are those who have died for speaking the truth. Many, too, have been subjected to torments for not wishing to still the voice that speaks inside them. Do not think that heaven has sent only those that speak of the Spirit or of love and morality. No, it has also sent those who offer the fine fruits of science, those bits of knowledge that give light to the lives of men, that lighten their burdens and relieve their distress. All of them have been my envoys. There are others too, who, without bringing moral, spiritual doctrines or scientific revelations, bring the message that teaches one to sense and admire the beauties of creation. They are messengers of mine, who have the mission of bearing delight and balm for the hearts of those who weep. All of them have drunk of the bitterness of seeing the incomprehension of a world that is blind to the truth, of humanity insensible of beauty and good. Nonetheless, if I have told you that in this era all will be restored, if I have proclaimed that all will return to its proper path, and that all my teachings will be restored to their original essence, you may believe that a time of spiritual splendor in this world is near, though you should not forget that before that happens, all will be judged and purified. Each time that some revelation has to come to man, I have sent forerunners or prophets to prepare them so that the light may be seen by them. However, do not believe that only those who bring messages for the Spirit are my envoys. No, disciples, any who sows good in any of its forms is my envoy. These emissaries can be found in every walk of your lives, in religions, science, and among those who govern, as well as those who provide good teachings. My true servant never departs from the path that should be followed, but prefers to die on that road before turning back. His example is the seed of light in the life of his fellows, and his works are examples for others. Oh, if mankind only knew how to understand the messages that I send to you through them. But it is not so, for there are many men who have delicate missions in the world. Turn their eyes from these great examples and take the road that best pleases them. Moreover, what have you done, humanity, with those men I have sent to remind you of my way, the way of faith, which is wisdom, love, and peace? You wish to know nothing of their messages, combating against them with the hypocritical faith that you have as your theories and religions. Your eyes did not wish to behold the light that was brought to you as a message of love by each of my envoys, be he called prophet, seer, enlightened one, doctor, philosopher, scientist, or shepherd. These men have shone forth, and you have not wished to see their light. They have gone ahead of you, and you have not wished to follow their steps. They left for you an example of the road of sacrifice, pain, and of charity, and you feared to imitate them, not knowing that the pain of those who follow me is a gladness of the spirit, a road of flowers, and a horizon full of promise. They did not come to smell the aroma of the flowers of earth, nor to intoxicate themselves with the fleeting pleasures of the world, because the aspiration of their spirit was already not toward the impure, but toward that which is more elevated. They suffered, but they did not seek consolation, for they knew that they had come to give it. They expected nothing of the world, for they were awaiting, at the end of the struggle, the joy of beholding the resurrection of the faith and the life of the spirits of all those who had died to truth. Who are these beings of whom I speak to you? I speak of all those who have brought to you messages of light, of love, of hope, of health, of faith, and of salvation. The name they use does not matter, nor does the road where you saw them appear, nor the title they bore on earth. It is necessary that I tell you one more time that this people that is forming around my manifestation is not a people that the Father mocks by loving more than other people of the earth, but rather, if the Lord has turned his gaze upon them, it is because he has formed them with spirits that have been in the world each time that a new divine revelation descended. They are spiritual children of that people of Israel, a people of prophets, envoys, seers, and patriarchs. Who better than they could receive me in this time, understand my manifestation, and testify to the fulfillment of my promises? I have descended to the bosom of the people of Israel, establishing the greatest number of them in this nation, Mexico. The others disseminated to all the nations, sent by me, and with them I have communicated spiritually. These are my chosen ones, they who have kept faithful to me, who must not contaminate their hearts, and whose spirits can perceive my inspirations. Through their conduit, I am giving to the world a wealth of wisdom. Beloved children who have arrived in small numbers, I tell you truly, my perceptive gaze finds everywhere my chosen ones, those who feel in their spirits that now is the time of my presence. They have not heard my word as you have, but in their spirits hear a voice that tells them that I am once again amongst humanity, that I have come spiritually in the cloud. Some I will allow to behold me with the eyes of their spirits. The others I will cause to feel my love greatly, so that they will feel the presence of my spirit. Soon the intuitive, the inspired, and the spiritually sensitive will arise, giving testimony before the nations of what they see, feel, hear, and receive through their spirits. I tell you once again that my people are not limited to those who have heard me through these spokesmen. For I have sent my servants to various parts of the earth, to prepare the way and to clean the fields to which the sowers will come later. I strengthen and bless them, for their labor is difficult, and their paths strewn with thorns. Ridicule and mockery, calumny and impiety follow them everywhere, but they, intuitive and inspired, know they have been sent by me, and are willing to follow the path to its end in fulfillment of their mission. I invite you to enter into my kingdom. I am summoning all nations, but I know that not everyone will listen. Humanity has extinguished its lamp and walks in darkness. In those places where there is confusion, one of my enlightened messengers will arise to enlighten his surrounding. That messenger is a spiritual guardian who is alert and awaiting my signal to awaken and move humanity. Let the love of these envoys be a fruitful seed planted in your heart. Do not reject them if they present themselves to you in outward poverty. Listen to them, for they go in my name to offer you the perfect prayer, to liberate you from the chains of materialism that bind you, and to help you attain the spiritual freedom that elevates you to me. If any man should come among you, saying that he is the Christ again made flesh, do not believe him. For upon proclaiming to you that I would return, I made you understand that this would be in spirit. If any say to you, I am the envoy of God, mistrust them, for the true emissaries will not brag nor shout of the mission that I have entrusted to them, but will give proof only by their works. Is it not right that men say that a tree must be known by its fruits? I do not forbid that you try the fruits of trees, but it is necessary that you be prepared to distinguish the good fruit from the bad. Those who love truth I shall place like lamps to light the path of their brothers. The times when you needed a spiritual guide in this world have passed. From this time forward, all who enter into this path will have no other road but that of my law, nor any other guide than their conscience. This does not mean that there will cease to be men and women of great light and strength who give aid through their example, with their inspiration of the multitudes. If it were not so, I would have sent to the earth spirits like Moses or Elijah, to trace the road for you and remind you of the law at every step. They help you, they watch over and accompany you, no longer in a human form, but from the spiritual. Who sees them? None do, but if you prepare, you will feel within your being the presence of the great spirits that have always been related to humanity and had great missions to fulfill there.